Hockey fans, it's finally here. I'm like a kid on Christmas morn. Power Rankings Week has come, and we have ranked. This took forever. It took an eternity. It took battling. It took arguing. And we may just drop that later so you can see how hard it is to put this whole thing together. In the Elite, 20 teams had to become the top 10. In the Premier 64, had to become the top 10. I will tell you, between the two leagues, we had 39 options for teams that could have made it to the top 10. We had 9 million arguments, and we got it to a point where we think that we can be proud to say we've got it right. With that, I got to look to my right-hand man. I got to look to my consigliere. I got to look to Mona Frere from Another Mare. The man, the myth, the Lucas. I got to look to the guy with the J rating coming out his eyes. He is the king of the statisticians and the ruler of all our hearts in hockey world. Lucas Jones, what's going on?
And I'm starting to see numbers in my sleep, but weirdly enough, the numbers make sense. So I guess I'm okay with it.
Yeah, and I went with this is blood in the water week, baby. This is Shark Week right now, and I got my shark mug going on here. Delicious coffee. Because I've been up for 24 straight hours, and I'm about to get in the car back down to Casa de Dante in Florida in about 6 hours after this taping. And I am ready to talk hockey, Lucas. This was difficult. We start in the Elite like we do every week. You guys are watching here. We had a handful of teams that just didn't make their way in. One team drops out of the top 10. It was the Bridgewater Junior Bandits this week, Lucas, dropping from 9 to outside the top 10. What does that mean? That means one new team is in, but we start at number 10. Number 10 in the Elite, dropping 6 spots since the September rankings, the Florida Junior Blades. This team 8-7-0-0, 16 points, but a minus 12 in the goal differential category and a losing record in the month.
Yeah, certainly a tough month, I think, for the Florida Junior Blades. Kind of a little bit of a back and forth, right? Some split month series, wins and losses against the Tampa Bay Juniors. And just kind of one of those months that, I think every team has. And I think in the history of us doing these power rankings, every team in the top 10 has had a month like this. But you know what, Dan? I think it just makes the next month all that much sweeter if they can rebound. And this Florida Junior Blades team, they're primed for a bit of a rebound here. They need to get out and take care of business.
And the guys you got to look at right now with this team, it's your defensemen. It's Chase Benjamin, it's Ismatov, it's J.C. Garbachik, and it's Jacob Gusty. These four sit between the 4 and 7 overall point getter spots on the roster from the D position. Mm-hmm. So much of their scoring comes from the blue line, Lucas. They're a grind you out team. They're a team that likes to get ahead and stay ahead. When you play that style of hockey, the come from behinds don't always show up for you. And in this tough Florida division, grinding it out each and every day, it can wear you down. Then you look in net, Lucas, and they've got one of the best netminders in the country right now with Tristan Falsetto. 7-2 on the year. Falsetto can sing the high notes, man. This guy can play the greatest hits and make the big plays.
Yeah, like you say, I think they're primed and ready to go. Just a little bit of a speed bump here. We were super impressed by this team last month. So, I think from this past month here, Dan, it's just one of those things where now you get a chance to show us why we shouldn't have dropped you.
Tough month in the Florida division here, Lucas. Another team from Florida drops back 1 spot. They were 8th last month. This month at 9, the Florida Eels. 8-3-0-0. This is less about the resume and just more about only 4 games played. There wasn't really a chance for them to climb, really, with only 4 games in an entire month of October. This is kind of a toss-up. Do you leave them where they were? Do you drop them back a bit? They drop back 1, but still 8-3-0-0 and in prime position to take over the first place slot with games in hand on Tampa.
Yeah, same roster, just not a ton of games. This is something you and I have struggled with. How do you rank a team month to month who hasn't played a ton of games, but still the same team, right? We had some trouble with the Bridgewater Bandits in the first month where we said, well, there's no data for them yet, but looking at things, things look good, right? So what do you fall back on? Well, a lot of other teams have played their way up into the standings, but that shouldn't punish Florida. So I think this is a team that, is still a good team. They still deserve this spot. They just need to find themselves some success next month this is as much of a statement maker, I think, as anything else, Dan.
Yeah, and you look at Andrew Ward, the left winger, the rookie, 6 goals, 8 assists. Man, this is a year 2004, a young guy playing in this Scarpacci system. They are going to get success. They're going to find it. Jake Dominique, Landon Angles. You talk Spencer Carpenter, Braden Bezovi. You talk about Colton and Alexander Klingerman, the centerman. This team can get it done. We move to number 8. Another team dropping back. The 8, 9, 10 spots, all with teams moving south right now. The Carolina Junior Canes, Lucas.
Yeah, Carolina had kind of a middling month as well, Dan. You know, they weren't up to the standards I think that they had set for themselves. They find themselves 5-3 on the month. That goal differential slipping a little bit, which is not usually a problem for the Junior Canes because you're pretty confident in that defense. But this goal differential, it means the defense has been kind of slipping up a little bit. The offense still firing, defense losing a bit of ground. We'll have to see if this corrects next month.
The biggest thing with these dropping teams, Lucas, I think it was less on them. Most of these teams, almost everybody, seemed to settle around the 500 mark or better in the top 15 of the elite out of 20 teams. And you look at this team, I just think there's teams right now that are kind of they're chopping by them. And one of those teams moved up 3 spots this last month, Lucas. The Springfield Picks at number 7. You go to this Springfield Picks side. And one of our favorites, Mr. Eric Richardson, man, this guy's locked in on his Springfield Picks hockey. 7-3-1-0, 15 points on the year, 41 goals for, 30 goals against. They were 6-2-1-0 in the month. They beat the Cyclones. They beat the Jersey Whalers. They beat the Rockets Hockey Club, always a tough team. They beat the Aviators. They beat the Bruins. They beat the Bandits. Their losses, not terrible. Tough Bruins team, really tough Hitmen team we'll talk about in a moment. The Bandits, they lost to them in OT on the second of a back-to-back of their day. This is a Picks team, Lucas, that can get it done. And you know what? Fantasy broadcaster battle. They got their broadcaster in it too. He's right now in the power rankings. He's towards the 1 spot. He's tied with me for the lead in the Dan K division. So they do it all. They're winning in all cylinders.
For whatever reason, Dan, and maybe you'll agree with this, maybe you don't, but I like to see teams that I always like to see a team that can beat a lot of different teams in a month. And I know it isn't practical because, you know, you can't just be traveling for one-off games, right? Certain teams, you know, you just can't reach a whole bunch of teams in your spot. But it's always great to see. And when you get the kind of the smorgasbord of victories that Springfield Picks have, you don't mind the split series with the Bandits as much, right? You don't mind the split series with the Bruins. And that Hitmen loss, like you said, Dan, we'll get to it a little later.
Yeah, and I meant to talk about Aiden Ryan of the Carolina Junior Canes, your leading point getter right now in the elite division. 11 goals, 15 assists, 26 points. How incredible is he? And Lucas, you look at the Springfield roster, Zach Foxy leading the way, man. 16 points on the year, even scoring, 8 goals, 8 assists. You love to see that from a year 2004 left winger, a guy who does it both just as well. Left hand, right hand, assist getter, goal getter, does it on the power play, has a shorthanded goal. He's won 2 games for him. Tyler Genovese, man, 4 goals, 7 assists on the year. You go down to defenseman Brandon Schumann, another year 2004. This is a super duper duper young team in Springfield at the 7 spot. Big futures all around. Number 6, the only new team in the top 10, the Jersey Hitmen, who beat this pick squad.
I mean, the Jersey Hitmen were an interesting team last month. They made a little bit of an impact in that J rating. They just fell outside that top 10 this month with a lot of really good wins, some confident play. And I think in a lot of ways, Dan, you know, lifting that goal differential up a little bit more, they have absolutely played their way, not just into the top 10, but into a pretty significant space. They have some strong wins this month.
Lucas, we always look at in the power rankings, who do we think would be difficult to deal with in a national tournament? The Nationals format, that round robin, that scheduled play, you got to win it in the semis. You got to win a lot of games to get to the finals.
Yep.
You need 2 netminders to do it. They have both. Matthew Carter, Frank Smith. Matthew Carter, .939 saves percentage on the year. He's got 2 shutouts. He's got a 1.50 goals against, 6-2. Frank Smith, 3-2, 1-1, backing him up, 2.33 goals against, and a .93 saves percentage. They do it net. The other thing I love at this elite level is when you have blue line scoring. There's something about blue line scoring with a lot of young skaters skating around the ice, and the Hitmen might just be the youngest team in the country right now in the elite. Lucas, the oldest player on this side is a year 2003, Jack Vanderplaat at the right wing position. Everybody else 04 or younger. That's insane. The left defenseman, Austin Bailey, leading the way with 15 points, born August 31st, 2004.
That is both incredible and absolutely disheartening for a 91 such as myself. An old 91. It's an old 91 too because of that January birth month. So I am certainly not happy to hear about this incoming class of 04 superstars.
Yeah, you just missed it. It's no longer Lucas's NHL entry draft year. That is just surpassed it.
You know, I was sitting on my couch, Dan, watching that NHL entry draft, hoping beyond hope that they would really see past my complete inability to play the game of hockey at a competitive level. But, you know, sometimes you just have to accept facts.
We go to number 5, and this is going to be a controversial one, right? Because if you look at the numbers, you look at the games played, the Eels, if they play at the level they've been playing, when the games even up in games played, will surpass Tampa for first place in the division. But Tampa, 7-3 in the month, the difference between 10 games played and 4 games played right now, Power Rankings World. Tampa stays exactly where they were last month. Last month, they were at 5. This month, they stay at 5, 11-6-0-0, 5th team in the country, 2 wins against the Junior Blades, 2 against the Mad Hatters, 2 against the Typhoon, 1 against the Eels. And the biggest difference for me is, in my mind, pound for pound, the best player in the elite right now, the best goal scorer, the best point getter in the elite right now, Bryson Uhrig. He's a year 2002, 23 points on the year, 13-10. Every single scout in the country should be looking at this kid. This kid is so much better than you think, and he's a stellar kid on and off the ice, man. Bryson Uhrig, must-watch TV right now.
Yeah, I think the personnel they've got on this team are really special. I think that there's a lot of physicality, there's a lot of skill, a lot of grit, and I don't think the 10 games hurts either. I know, again, it's not a fun argument, it's not an egalitarian argument for sure to say, well, you played more games, but having more games, more data points removes some of the argument of chance out of it. And you look at a 7-3 win, or a 7-3 record, they're out there taking care of business, they've got the personnel to support it. Like you say, Dan, all things being even, you take the team that's 7-3.
Yeah, and then you look between the pipes, and again, you need 2 netminders. They've got it. They've got a Charles Garon. They talk about lineage right there with the Garon family in the net. And then you got Evan Spinella, who's leading the way, 931 saves percentage. He's been stellar for them for years, man. He's 7-1 right now. They don't lose when Spinella's between the pipes, and that's a tough thing to run into when you get to playoff time. We move to number 4. Number 4, moving back. We get now back to teams moving back a spot here. The Richmond Generals go from 3 last month to 4 this month. Talk about this Generals team.
Well, I mean, the Richmond Generals are one of those really consistent squads that are they're so good every single year. And I think this is, again, one of those situations where it's not that they fell off, but other teams played their way in with some fantastic play against really good teams. And I think the one thing that is always clutch for Richmond is the fact that they play in an extremely competitive division. And that's just the way it is. You talk about the Southeast, and you know what you're getting out of that division. They hang tough. And again, you start talking about personnel, right? The way they play the game. They have an ability to just shut you down that is second to none.
Yeah, I mean, and you look at this roster right now, you talk about Golden Net and Shadron Cummings. I mean, they play great. Then you got Garrett Albers. Albers in 13 games played, 11 goals, 12 assists, balance in scoring. The big thing with Albers is somebody's got to stop this man on the power play. 13 of his 23 points have come on the power play. 5 power play goals, 8 power play assists. This is a special teamer through and through. You then go to Austin Sawyer with 8 and 13. You go to Jackson Good, who's better than good, man. The name is good, but the play is great. Case Cook on the case, the left defenseman, 16 assists this year, leading the way for the Richmond Generals. He's got 19 points. This team is stellar.
Yeah, no, they are fantastic. They are such a deep team as well. There's not one person you can shut down. And when you start getting into the top 5 teams, that's a quality I think some people overlook, is if there's a line that you can point to and you can say, well, if you take that line out, right, then you're good to go. Well, you know, that's not really what you're looking for in the top 5. And I think Richmond is this incredibly deep team that can beat you from everywhere.
And not a big deal or anything, but Euro 4 Andrew Farley with 4-13, baby. Let's go. This team is hard-nosed. Watch out for Richmond. If you want to talk about right now a team outside the top three that I think will crack the top three by the end of next month, the Generals will be that team. I'm going to put it out there right now. IHC at number 3. This is controversy. And with this, Lucas, I'm not sure. Are you okay? You edit this thing. Are you okay if I say who's number 2 right now so we can talk about it?
Absolutely.
Number 2, Wilkes-Barre Scranton Knights. Okay, everybody stop screaming. Calm down. Calm down, okay? Yes, IHC, Islanders Hockey Club, played Wilkes-Barre head-to-head, neutral ice, and won 3-2. There's a little bit of a mistake, okay? Tiny little huge mistake. Wilkes-Barre did play without their top 3 forwards in that game. They played up with the Premier, played IHC, lost by 1. And, it's such a close game. This Wilkes-Barre team has lost once the entire season. You look at these two squads right now, I just think there is, I'm trying to think of, do I have something small enough to show how small of a difference there is? This pen, the width of this pen, this much is the difference. It is an inch. It is an inch. Anything for an American to not use the metric system. And that's the difference between Wilkes-Barre and IHC. And if I had to say, my life depends on it, I'd say Wilkes-Barre would win in a must-win against IHC.
And I think this was actually our one sticking point, I think, in the elite, because I had these teams reversed. I had Wilkes-Barre at 3 and IHC at 2. And it's for the same reason. So I went back and, you look at some of the stats, you look at some of the rosters, you take a peek at what's going on under the curtain, right? And I just feel like, again, all things being equal, if you put these two on the ice again, full lines, right, I think IHC wins again. And I think that this Wilkes-Barre team is good, and they've been good consistently, and they've checked all the boxes. They've done everything we've asked them to do with every other team, right? Been good in your division, been good outside your division, taking care of business, won all the games, did all the things. But you look at some of the teams that the Islanders Hockey Club have beaten. You look at the way they've been dominant on the defensive end specifically. And I think the defensive end is where I take that IHC edge, because looking at these two teams, Dan, I think that the IHC defense takes care of the Wilkes-Barre Scranton Knights offense, keeps it close, and that's where IHC would take an edge.
Here's the funniest thing in all this, Lucas. One of the teams that didn't crack the top 10 in the elite were the Northern Cyclones, okay? The Cyclones beat IHC. So they have the argument of all arguments. They can say, how are we not inside this top 10 at all? Mm-hmm. You look at Wilkes-Barre beats the Cyclones. And now we're arguing 2 and 3 between IHC and Wilkes-Barre. And the Cyclones are sitting here going, what the heck is going on? What are we doing here? And you got to be frustrated if you're a Cyclones fan. And you look at them and you say, okay, they lost to the Picks. They lost to Wilkes-Barre. They had wins. And you try to draw these lines somewhere in this thing when you're making these power rankings. And sometimes we look at a team like the Cyclones and we say, well, this is a team that has an opportunity in November. We look at their schedule. They have some real big statement moments coming ahead for them. So they have the opportunity to make the statement. Sometimes you put a team up against it to wake them up. For me in this 3 spot right now, this is the wake-up call of all wake-up calls for an IHC squad. I love Jay Punske. Let's just do this. Let's just real quick talk about how great Jay Punske is. This guy's coaching NCAA Division III hockey. This guy's coaching Premier hockey. This guy's coaching elite hockey. This guy's coaching on 3 levels of the game right now. Nobody cares more than Jay Punske, man. This guy is locked in. And when you watch him work day in and day out, it's a continuous work ethic. And I think this is a moment for Coach Punske to take this, put it on his bulletin board, and make sure that by next time we're talking about the power rankings, Islanders Hockey Club isn't number 3. They're not number 2. They're gosh darn number 1. And that's the opportunity ahead for IHC.
And I will say this for the Northern Cyclones faithful who are watching at home. The November schedule, Islanders Hockey Club, 2 games against the Springfield Picks, and then the Jersey Hitmen later in the month. So that's 4 games that the Northern Cyclones have, 4 opportunities. Show us why we're wrong and they should have been in this top 10.
100%. And you look at it right now, these teams, the IHC and Wilkes-Barre, so much depth in those rosters, so much ability to play the game. Lucas, I look ahead. I'm trying to do some quick searching because I know that there's a pretty big game coming up. Friday, November 19th, Gallant Arena.
Yep.
Islanders Hockey Club, Charlotte Rush. You want to talk about wake up, and this is a system of a down wake up call.
That might have to be one that we wake up at for that 8 a.m. start.
I'll be up for it. I'll be up. Let's do it, man. That's our early morning start. First day of the weekend. Why not? Why not get up at 8 a.m.? Let's wake up early. We'll sneak in a little 3 a.m. golf round. I'm waking up at 3 a.m. tonight to go drive back down to Palm Harbor, Florida. Why can't we wake up for that one? That is the game of the weekend. You look at that matchup, Lucas, that is going to be unrealistic, unbelievable. You look at Wilkes-Barre. Wilkes-Barre's got the Carolina Junior Canes on Saturday during that event. You're looking down a list here. Let me keep rolling real quick. The Charlotte Rush will play the Bridgewater Junior Bandits. That's a good one. Wilkes-Barre will play the Junior Bruins. There's a ton of good hockey. And guess what, Lucas? Charlotte Rush, Wilkes-Barre, Scranton, Sunday afternoon at 1:30.
You know what? We're just doing elite games. That's all we're doing tonight.
Whole weekend. We're doing elite games because number one in the nation right now, Moscow Smules, the Charlotte Rush, Ray Sylvester. The boys from Charlotte are buzzing yet again. The double dip Kings, a little single dip action in the elite. With the first place spot, the Charlotte Rush, just how good have they been?
Well, they've been top spot good. 7-1 in the month, goal differential, absolutely incredible. The quick math here, Dan, is they're giving up 26 goals, 14 games, which means they're averaging about 1.92 goals per game. That's pretty incredible. There's not a lot of teams that are going to be able to beat the Charlotte Rush with that kind of a goal differential. Wins against everybody. Their only loss coming against the Richmond Generals. But, you know, that's a split series right there. So you not devalue it, but you take it into consideration.
Yeah, you look at David Hofsteiser there, 5 goals, 14 assists for him. Dylan Causey, Egan Cunningham. Ben Pearson, right defenseman, 15 points on the year, 7 and 8, Lucas. This is a balanced scorer, guy that plays on their top power play unit. Love watching Ben Pearson play. This guy is someone who every scout on the planet should be looking at. Matthew Cliff, the Euro 1, makes the move over here, 5 and 7 for him. In net, the Brady Bunch, who we still owe swag to. We're going to get Brian.
I know.
Stuff. We're going to bring it tight. I'm going to figure it out. Sam Edmonds with Charlotte, 5-0. DJ Lyons, 2-2. They have 3 different netminders that I would trust any day, anytime between the pipes. This is the best team in the country right now. And in 3 weeks, we are going to have a 1v2 matchup and a 1v3 matchup in the same weekend of the Islanders showcase. That will be incredible. Stay tuned. The elite. Lucas, any words before we move on to the premiere?
Just that you can look for us at the Islanders Hockey Club showcase. We cannot wait to shine a spotlight on this elite division. This elite division has been so good, so interesting to watch. It's been so incredibly competitive that, you know, we just want to get out there and we want to talk about it. We want to watch it. We want to color commentate on it. I want to interview some coaches in the elite.
That's it. The elite division is the most underrated division of hockey in the world of hockey, anywhere on the planet. It's incredible to watch, man. We love the work you guys are putting in. In the elite, number 1, the Charlotte Rush. They move up 1 spot into the top roll. The Wilkes-Barre Scranton Knights drop down 1 to number 2. IHC, the Islanders Hockey Club, move up 4 spots to 3. The Richmond Generals drop down 1 to the 4 spot. The Tampa Bay Juniors stay right where they belong at number 5 right now. At number 6, the newcomers, the Jersey Hitmen. Number 7, the Springfield Picks move 3 spots up. The Carolina Junior Canes drop 2 spots to 8. Eels drop 1 to 9. And the Florida Junior Blades rounded out, dropping 6 spots to number 10. Don't like the picks? Do like them? Let us know at @the_NK Show, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. Let us know what your thoughts are on the elite today. Premier Power Rankings coming up next.
The Dan K Show would like to thank all of our fantastic sponsors for the work that they do. If you're interested in partnering with the Dan K Show, reach out to @the_Dan K Show on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and you too can work with the most watched show in junior hockey.
Time to kick into the premier power rankings. But before we do, we remind you guys, go to Wingman Sports Corporation now and buy your Dan K Show Holiday Follow Challenge jersey. These jerseys, proceeds are going to go to support St. Jude's during this holiday season. It's an incredible, I mean, it's a cause near and dear to our hearts, and it's an opportunity to kind of wear an awesome jersey. And there's even more opportunity to it. You're not just giving to St. Jude, you're also giving to your favorite USPHL team. If you send us proof of purchase, or you send us a picture of you in the incredible ugly sweater Dan K Show jersey, you send us that picture, you get 3 extra Holiday Follow Challenge votes. That's hashtag Holiday Follow Challenge. You'll kick off voting Thanksgiving Day through New Year's Day. You can vote for the Holiday Follow Challenge, but you can get an early start with a purchase of your jersey today. Reach out to Wingman Sports Corporation today. Lucas, power rankings time. This was 23 teams was the final number I got it down to. I actually made a top 23. I then was like, yeah, we can't do that. You told me that it won't fit on the screen. So we technically 10, but we got it to 11. Toledo not in it. We argued hard on that one. Let's just put it you had Toledo as high as 5. Toledo winds up not in it. You look at, who else do we have? The Rockets Hockey Club, we were talking about them. We were talking about Steele County Blades. We're talking about the Hudson Havoc. We're talking about lots of teams. Number 10, it's a tie. This is the only tie we'll have. It was impossible. The coin flip just wouldn't work. Rockets Hockey Club, Fresno Monsters, both new to the top 10, both at 10.
Yeah, this was one where we had 3 teams in it. We narrowed it down to these 2 squads, and it comes down to a weird bit of imaginary calculus where you look at teams that have wins against certain squads, and both teams have some statement wins for sure. I think the Rockets Hockey Club, Dan, I even admitted to you, Dan, that getting lost in the document a little bit, you just forget about the Rockets Hockey Club, even though they've taken care of business. They've scored a bunch of goals. They've played great defense. They've done what we asked them to. Then you got the Fresno, which I know you were big on this Fresno Monsters team.
Big on Fresno.
Because they had just beaten Lake Tahoe, which previously we had considered to be potentially an unbeatable team. Fresno beat them 2-1.
Yep. Yeah, and you look at Fresno. Fresno, Lucas, the big thing I look at right here, right? You go to the stat leaders page, okay? Narek Alexanian. He's got 10 goals, 22 assists, 32 points on the year. He's at right now 6th overall in points. You go to 10th overall in points. Who's that? Stepan Skaversky. This guy from last year comes back again. He's just repeating his greatness. 15 and 12, 27 points, 3 power play, 5 power play assists. Then you go to Mikhail Gavrilenko, another guy that returns for Fresno. 14 and 13, 27 points for him. He's an 11th overall in points. You go to Leon Biller, 18th overall in points. 23 on the year for him. This isn't a lot of times you look at the points early in the season, you go, okay, the leaders have maybe 6-7 games more played than some of the others on the list. These guys haven't played more games than everyone else. They're just performing. And the top line scoring for me, when their top forward line is kicking, when their top 2 lines are rolling, they are going to be nearly impossible to deal with for most teams in the U.S.
Yeah, I think that's a huge thing to consider too. And I, especially in the Premier, that line is so razor thin to get into the top 10 or be out of the top 10. I'm interested to see what these 2 teams can do in November. They've got a little bit of a mix-up schedule. That Pacific Division always so tough to really get a handle on, get a gauge on. But we're going to be watching a lot of Fresno and Rockets games this upcoming month.
100% Rockets Hockey Club Fresno at 10. Number 9. Moving up 1 spot from last month, they stay in the top 10. The thing is, though, Lucas, this doesn't say anything about the Midwest West curse because it got the Hudson Havoc again. They drop out of the top 10. The Wisconsin Rapids River Kings, they were in it last month. They stay in it this month just by the skin of their teeth at number 9. But a good showcase for them gets them into the top.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing. We always tend to weight showcase performances a little heavier because you put up against it, right? It's one thing to play, home and home or 2 games at home on a Friday, Saturday night. It's quite another thing to play 4 games in 3 days against some of the best. And if you can come out of it like the River Kings did, looking really strong. Added to a really good performance the rest of the month. You talk about double-digit games played, 9 wins overall. It's a fantastic, fantastic month of October for Wisconsin.
Yeah, every single game they played here. And you look at the Mallards, they had 3 wins against the Mallards, 3 against the Mullets, 2 against the Moose, 1 against the Havoc, who were ranked above them, right? So when you're ranked below a team and you beat that team, even if it's an OT, even if it's a close game, they still drop behind you. They lost to the Blue Ox twice. They lost to the Moose once. And that's where we go to number 8. You go to the Minnesota Blue Ox, right? So you talk about this Wisconsin Rapids River Kings with Redmond, Steer, newcomer, the guys that return, like similar thing to Fresno that I love. It's the returners that come back and do it again with this squad and continue to have success. The Blue Ox kind of fall into that same mantra, Lucas.
Yeah, and I think this is another argument for consistency, right? Because the Blue Ox come out here, they're 10-2. They're adding to, they got some really impressive wins overall, including a win against Pueblo. And an interesting fact here, Dan, looking at the schedule for November, both the Minnesota Blue Ox and the Wisconsin Rapids River Kings look like they're playing the Ogden Mustangs, which should be, when you want to talk about how do we look at teams that how do we look at these different divisions? That could be an interesting moment for, I think, both of these teams. They're going to take each other on back-to-back nights on Friday and Saturday at the Islanders Hockey Club Showcase. So that'll be a really good way to figure out which one of these teams and how to directly rank them.
Yeah, and I don't want to call anybody out, but if I was making like a behind-the-scenes documentary about a specific hockey team, I might clip this moment right now from Dan K. Because you look at the little moments throughout a season, Lucas, and you look at this game against the Ogden Mustangs coming up in December, and there are little moments in a hockey team's growth process where they can put themselves on the map, where they can make a statement and they can change public perception on just how good they are. Are they good? Are they great? Are they champions? That matchup against Ogden is an opportunity for them to do just that. They did it against Wisconsin Rapids this past month. They won twice against them. They get a chance to do it again in December against Ogden. When will you stand tall? When will you stand up? And just how good will this Blue Ox team be? It's time to prove it on the ice. You look at Michael Clough. Life ain't rough when you're Michael Clough. 1.69 points per game right now. Hayden Maslowski, Cale Gunner, the Gunner. This guy's out here doing everything. Blake Glazer, man. This guy's never putting up donuts. He's scoring a point a game. You look at Keith Schenkel, Carter Hobbs. You love this squad right now. And while they're doing all this, they're also sending guys up to the big club in the NCDC, right? We were just talking about netminder Vinny Castelletti this last week and having success. This team is just nonstop good.
How long did you take to write that speech with the hopes that it would be included in the documentary?
I don't write things, Lucas. You know everything is done off the top of my head, and this is my 5th cup of coffee, so I'm flying high, ready to go. Number 7, the Charlotte Rush, the defending champions in the Premier at number 7. This is one of those situations we explained it. I'll go quickly with it. Right. March Madness, a lot of times they look at a seed, and they pick 8 teams that could be the 7th seed. And that's what we did right here. Richmond and Charlotte wound up being the 2 out of the Southeast, and one had to be in, one had to be out in our minds, just with the performances from everyone around the country this month. Lucas, you had Richmond, I had Charlotte. I won the argument here, and I just look at what Charlotte is right now. I still, roster-wise, I know they've lost 3 straight coming into today's taping. I still like Nick Anderson has become just stellar here in net, 5-2, 183 goals against average, a 943 saves percentage. I still like what this team can do. I think Hampton Roads is really good. They lost some games to them. I love the human drum roll, Ethan DeMumbro. I love Jacob Wilson, Drew Iannucci. Overall, I just still think this team is better than what's on the record sheet, better than what's coming out every single day. And I think when they write that ship, when they take it personal, I need them to take it personal. I need to see them take on that Schwabe mentality, that Ryan Crothers mentality of take it personally and go win some hockey games. That's what they need to do here.
Yeah, I think, you kind of look at, I like you said, I had Richmond here. Charlotte, one less loss, but also one less game. You look at them back to back. And it's kind of a toss-up here, right? But I don't disagree with you. We'll put it that way. I don't disagree with you here with Charlotte at number 7 because I do like this roster. I feel very confident in the coaching staff's ability here. Seeing what they can do, like you say, when you put up against it. I think it's closer than people might think between Richmond and Charlotte. Richmond and Charlotte here. But I don't disagree with Charlotte at number 7. But I do think either way, it's a statement-making move for both teams here. Because if you guys are deadlocked, find a way to separate yourselves. Talk amongst yourselves, report back to us, and then we'll figure it out.
There are 64 teams in the Premier. The next pick is just one of these weird ones that happens, right? It's neither of us had them in the top 10 on our first pass. Neither of us.
Mm-hmm.
The Florida Eels were number 1 last month. They only played 4 games, right? So it's hard. You look at it and you look at the resume for the month and you go, okay, this probably isn't a top 10 team if you're just isolating the month. But this was the number 1 team in the nation last month. And just because they played 4 games and they go 3-1, you can't toss them out. So they go to 6. They drop back 5 spots. Lucas, this is still your pick to win a national championship. I still see guys like Damon Kiwasu who can stretch out the ice. I still see Torrin Haddon-Harris leading the way. They still got Gaudette. They've got Oliver Karlstrom, Easton Moore. And in net, they have the best goaltender tandem in the country. You cannot argue against me on that. Alexander Caron right now, or Caron, and Duncan Rollman, these two right now are the best 1-2 punch in the country. The only people who could go after him are a team we'll talk about in a little bit. If you put those 2 sets against each other, it would be incredible to watch. We'll talk about that other side later.
Yeah, I think this is, like you say, Dan, it's a tough one. We've already gone into the very few games in a month sort of discussion. I think that the Florida Eels can prove themselves here with, in November. They've got 8 games coming up in November, so definitely a month to be able to take care of business here. Like you said, it's the exact same roster last month. I still think these guys are winning a national championship. They still have my wholehearted support. I love what they've got going on down there. They've got some of the best netminders in the business, but it's just an example, like you say, of teams playing ahead of them just by feature of playing some more games. But opportunity in November abounds.
Yeah, and you talk about opportunity. The Utah Outliers continue to take advantage of opportunity, man, and leading the way for them is netminder Garrett Alderman. The Mountain Division since last season, it's been all offense, man. The forward play, the defenseman that can score the puck, the speed, the skill, the size, the physicality, man. It is some of the best brand of hockey on planet Earth right now. Lucas, power ranking our divisions. For the first time in a long time, we do this behind the scenes. A division other than the Southeast jumped up to number 1 in our sidelined power rankings, and it is the Mountain right now. This right now in our rankings of how we do it off camera, lined up by 1 point, just 1 point. That is very, very thin margin in this power ranking. The Mountain was rated as the toughest. Garrett Alderman, 157 goals against, 937 saves percentage, 2 shutouts in the Mountain Division.
Yeah, and I think the Utah Outliers have put together a really, really good month. They put together a fantastic team, too. I mean, this is a squad that continues to be consistent in a very difficult division. Their goal differential is not what you're seeing in some of these other teams, but, man, is their defense good, Dan. 27 goals allowed on the season. That's absolutely incredible. And their defense is going to be put to the test in November. They've got, it looks like almost 11 games. Yeah, they've got 11 games coming up in November, a busy schedule. They're going to have 5 games against the Ogden Mustangs and 3 games against Lake Tahoe. That is the definition of grinder. You take care of business, you win those games, watch them shoot straight to the top.
And here's the thing about Utah, Lucas. So you look at Utah, that is what we talk about the opportunity, right? They're at number 5 right now.
Mm-hmm.
If you go 6-0 against Lake Tahoe and Ogden, it's going to be almost impossible to keep them away from a top 2 spot. Like almost impossible to go to be 5, put that month together and not jump. So that's the opportunity they have ahead of them. They have an opportunity to make themselves the number 1 team in the country by the end of this all. Nick Ertis, Nicholas Schwab, Parker Williams, man. How about Jacob Saran? This is one of my favorite players in the country as a year 2001. 4 goals, 6 assists for him. Saran, the defenseman out of Utah. He's 5'11", 180, and he plays strong, man. That 180, he packs a punch with that 180. I like the way this Utah team plays. A team that's played a little better in this past month, Lucas. just a little better. Number 4, the first time this premier side for the South Shore Kings has made its way into the top 10 since Dan Panciaco was coaching the squad. Coach Panciaco was doing this thing. First time since then, the South Shore Kings cracked not just the top 10, but the top 5, 12-1, 0-0 on the year, 11-0 in October. South Shore Kings reigning supreme.
Yeah, 11-0 in the month. That's that pretty much says it all, doesn't it, Dan? You know, you come through here and you get put up against it. You get a lot of games in a month right out of the gate, and you win them all. You beat all kinds of teams too. You've got wins against, Advantage, the Hitmen, IHC. It's all across the country. They walk into a barn, they beat a team. Teams come into their barn, they beat a team. So the South Shore Kings team, I think, is really just dotting their I's, crossing their teams, and putting together a very, very good month.
2 wins against the Boston Advantage, 1 against the Hitmen, 2 against the Islanders Hockey Club, 1 against the Boston Junior Bruins. They go to OT against the Monarchs, a tough defensive battler. They beat them. They beat the Bridgewater Junior Bandits. They beat the Elmira Junior Enforcers, the Connecticut Junior Rangers, and the Hershey Cubs. There's something to be said, right? There's strength of schedule, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there is also taking care of business, like you said. And it's the idea of when you go 11-0, there has to be – hockey is almost – even – like I could give you the – like I could take – you could play the New Jersey Devils every night if you're the Tampa Bay Lightning, and you're still going to lose. You play them 81 times in a row, you're going to lose 20-30. Doesn't matter how much better you are. Doesn't matter what the roster looks like. The game of hockey is difficult to go undefeated in. It's physical. When you play a physical sport, it is nearly impossible to go undefeated. 11-0 in a month, that's incredible. 53 goals for, just 19 against in 13 games played. Nearly a goal a game allowed. That's just stupid. We go to number 3. Not only is their broadcaster number 1 in the power rankings for the broadcaster battle in fantasy hockey, the Ogden Mustangs jump up to the 3 spot, moving 2 spots up from last month at 5. The Ogden Mustangs 9-2-1-0. They beat the Utah Outliers, a 5th seed in this, twice. They beat Provo 3 times. Pueblo, a team that went out and gave teams trouble in the Midwest West this past week. They got them once. Tough loss in OT to Provo, one of those hiccup losses right there. And then Pueblo split with them. But I just overall right now, this Ogden team, 6-1-1-0 in the month, 57 goals for, 25 goals against. They have that wagon makeup right now that I really like to see.
I think there's a lot of physicality and a lot of size and a lot of skill. And I just think that this roster, you start to get up here, and I feel like the depth of Ogden, the little bit of intimidation factor of Ogden, you look at the teams they've played and how good they all are. And yes, in some cases, the games have been close. In some cases, they've won handedly. But you look at the roster inspires a lot of confidence, Dan. There's a lot of skaters on here that, any team in the country would be lucky to have.
Yeah, Lucas. And you look at Cade Herrera, Lucas Washko, centerman, 4 goals, 11 assists. This guy's a Johnny Appleseed. He's an apple getter. He gets assists around. It's the balance in scoring for me. You can go 21 skaters down the list. 21 different skaters have tallied a point this year for this Ogden Mustangs team. One of those 21, Sava Serjuk, their netminder, who's got an assist on the season, man. A power play assist for the netminder, catching the boys on the change, makes the beautiful pass with the big paddle. Sava, 5-0-1 on the season, 218 goals against, 907 saves percentage. For this difficult offensive first Mountain Division, those are great numbers to have. That's enough to win on a Mustang team that scores with balance. I like the way Ogden looks. They sit at number 3 right now. And you talked about December, Lucas. They're going to have an opportunity in Chicago to play some of the best teams on the planet.
Yeah, they're going to go up against it a little bit here. I mean, Ogden's got 5 games against the Utah Outliers in November, but they're going to be playing a lot of good teams in Chicago. They've got a tough matchup against the Blue Ox and the River Kings, like we mentioned before. They're really gonna be able to show what they've got.
Yeah, a team that showed what they got in the month of October. Lucas, it's been a while, in the words of Stained, band that I know no other songs for.
Wow.
Yeah, that's the one I got. It's been a while since the Hampton Roads Whalers we're towards the top of a premier power rankings, number 2 in the country. All roads lead to Hampton Roads. Ooh, in the words of Weston DeWitt, voice of the Norfolk Admirals, Lucas, you don't touch them, you'll get burned. Ooh, these guys are hot.
The Hampton Roads Whalers, and I'm going to make a reference here that almost no one will get, is the Hampton Roads Whalers, to me, Dan, are very much quietly dominating in the Premier, much like our now mutual friend Dan Jurgen from the Great British Bake Show. Quietly dominating week in and week out, always just keeping them to themselves. And then you look at the collective body of work and you go, wow, they've been doing it this whole time, haven't they?
Are we talking about Jurgen?
It's the softest
Jurgen,
man.
I enjoy cooking my cakes. I enjoy cooking my pastries, and that is all I need. I call my family and let them know I've won on British Bake Off.
He just made himself a sausage roll and completely dominated this week. It was amazing.
Oh, you give a chance to make a sausage roll, and you put love into it, and that's how you get yourself a win. And you look at the Hampton Roads Whalers, and I mean, this is a team, Lucas, that are baking a beautiful cake. Look in net, Kenny Vaught, and you look at Cannon Flajol. I mean, these two, Lucas, just 2 goals a game allowed between the two.
I didn't realize you were going to keep doing the Jurgen accent all the way through.
I couldn't get out of it, honestly. I couldn't get out of it.
There's no easy way to transition out of it. But that is certainly an obscure reference for everyone but Dan, myself, and anyone who watches Great British Bake Show on Netflix. It's an absolutely fantastic watch. But let's talk about the Hampton Roads Whalers, because I know, Dan, this is a team that you kind of live and die with, over a number of years now. They don't want my support. I think that is a standing order. No matter who's in the building, no matter which players are there, they don't want me to talk about them. They don't want me to talk well about them, but I'm going to here because they have put together just a really stellar month. You have the note here, Dan, an 11-game point streak. They have wins against the Junior Canes, wins against that Potomac team. They beat the Rush twice on the road, right? And then you look at where they lost to the Rush, and they lost to the Rush twice in overtime. And according to the ranking system of wins and losses, a win in regulation, in my book, is way more impressive than a win in overtime. So a loss in overtime, by default, you should be weighted a lot less. And I don't see that as a split series at all. I see that as Hampton Roads taking that series.
Lucas, 7 times this year, Hampton Roads has played a shootout or an overtime game. They battle. They're tough game tested. They're ready to battle through these close games. There's a lot to say about teams that can win close games, okay? Callan Daly leading the way with 19 points. Shane Adler, Mark Paget, a right winger I love. Connor Carlisle, 2 goals, 10 assists from the right D spot, man, a year 2001. Evan Miles. I love Evan Miles. Brendan Kelly, Jacob Trout, Jake Fleet. The depth. This team can score from every line. The defensemen can get involved. They can play physical. They defend home ice, and they're one of the most difficult teams to deal with. As my golden retriever says hello. Hello, Mattingly. She's covered in water. It's pouring rain out here right now. I did not know that was happening. She's let herself back in. But rain on the dog aside, you look at it, this Hampton Roads Whalers team, number 2. Lucas, number 1. There's a song that's about partying like it's 1999. There's a movie, Back to the Future. I feel like we're going back to the future because it's been a pretty long time since number 1 and number 2 in the USPHL Premier were the Jets and the Hampton Roads Whalers. We've seen this before on championship ice, Lucas. The Metro Jets 13-0 at number 1.
Yeah, this might be the definition of it's been a while too here, Dan, because these 2 teams are back on top. The Metro Jets, I mean, what can you say about the Metro Jets that their record doesn't say? It's complete control of the game of hockey up and down the ice. Every single place you can have a win in the game, they get it. In 13 games, they have 114 goals, which means they are scoring almost 10 goals a game.
Stop.
They have given up 19 goals, which means that they are letting in about 1.4 goals a game.
That's good, man.
So that's pretty incredible. They're beating up a lot of teams. They're beating some tough teams as well. I mean, it's just good luck. They've got games coming up, right, against the Pittsburgh Vengeance, who we were both floored with our time in Detroit. This is a tough team. Absolutely. The Pittsburgh Vengeance, such a battler squad, such a tough squad. They'll lean on you and you won't be able to get up. I could see them maybe taking it to Metro, and then they've got the Charlotte Rush at the end of the month. That'll be an interesting game as well. But I mean, good luck. Anyone going up against Metro, you have my deepest condolences.
Yeah. And, we talked about the best duo in the game of hockey, right, in net. And the only team that could match them is this Metro Jets side, who had a trio of Augustine Miscavige and Fortier. And you look at Louis-Pierre Fortier, .930 saves percentage, Daniel Misbehaving Miscavige, .939 saves percentage. The Metro Jets just don't stop. Remember how I touted, the depth in scoring before for squads? 25 different active skaters have tallied at least a point playing for this Metro Jets team. 25 active skaters. That's more players than you can play in a given day have tallied a point. Balance in scoring is there. Nick Cesarini, you've got the leader, the age, the guy who's been there. Most games played in USPHL history. You got Alex Schaumburger leading the way with 28 points. Cam Hellman, Braden Lewis. You just look at this team. It doesn't stop. It doesn't stop. They're relentless. This is the best Metro Jets side I have seen since they started up in the league. Defensive line. You talk Patty Hayes moving from forward with MJDP, moving to the D line, moving to the blue line. Patty Hayes, like you look at Patty Hayes right now. This guy is Keith Yandel as a defenseman. He's a Joe Duzak. Like he's a guy who can score the puck from the blue line. This team, there's not a space right now where they are not unstoppable. I can't wait to see them take on some of the best talent around the league. They continue to win. They had their chance against Toledo to prove themselves. They did just that, took care of business there. This team is unstoppable right now.
Yeah, I completely agree. Like I said, good luck, right? It'll be interesting to see I'll tell you what, I feel like whichever team beats Metro first, they got to win a fruit basket or something, Dan.
Your premier power rankings. Number 1, the Metro Jets at 13-0. Number 2, we're going back to 2017, was it? 18? Oh, man, I'm getting old. I can't even remember the years that things happened. Well, 2020 was last year. There's the Rush Boys. 2019, no champ. So 2018 was Hampton Roads versus Metro. We're going back to 2018. Hampton Roads, number 2. Number 3, the Ogden Mustangs from the Mountain. Number 4, the South Shore Kings, undefeated in the month of October, 11-0. Number 5, the Utah Outliers. Number 6, the Florida Eels. Number 7, the Charlotte Rush. Number 8, the Minnesota Blue Ox. Congratulations, you've been cursed. Dan K and Lucas Jones have made you the highest ranked Midwest West team, so we apologize for you missing the rankings next month. Number 9, the Wisconsin Rapids River Kings, one of the only teams in the history of the Midwest West to make it into the power rankings top 10 2 months in a row. The last team to do it, the Wisconsin Rapids River Kings, last season, early in this time of year. The Rockets Hockey Club and Fresno Monsters tie for 10th. 64 teams in the Premier. I'm sure we missed a bunch. You let us know what we missed. Reach out at @the_NK Show, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok, and let us know just how badly we screwed it all up. Lucas, your power rankings, as always, are presented by Elite Junior Profiles. Tell them about Elite Junior Profiles, Lucas. Just how good is this brand?
They are fantastic. They are the paint job on the NASCAR, as we like to call it. You can get your disc enhanced profile. It helps the scouts see who you are just a little bit past the numbers. For those analytics people, it helps you out there too. EliteJRProfiles.com. Head over there, get your disc enhanced profile set up, go where the scouts are, and tell them we sent you over there.
Yeah, I mean, Lane Hack, Paul Peckman, the crew over there, man, these guys are on the ball all the time. They are working to better your experience through the recruiting game. Similar to what we do here with the Dan K Show, Lucas. We're here for you, parents, players, fans, families, anybody, man. Our goal every year is for every player looking to commit at the next level to find their right home, not just a home. You know what I mean? We can all just kind of look at numbers sometimes in the wrong way in this business, in this junior hockey world. And we are always working here to make sure they're being looked at correctly We're here to help you. We want to help you find your correct location. Use a great company like EliteJRProfiles.com to do just that. Sign up for your profile today. Let them know the Dan K Show sent you, and they present our power rankings each and every month. Dan K, Lucas Jones. Lucas, we're not doing an empty net. This was too long. Parting words. I thought you were going to say something. You got me there for a moment. Lucas Jones, nothing to say. Dan K has this to say. Thank you to Remastered Sleep. Stop snoring with just a sip. www.remasteredsleep.com. Thank you to all of our viewers, all of our watchers, and to the greatest league in all the land, the United States Premier Hockey League. The numbers don't lie. You can skew them. You can mix them up. You can hide them however you want. Pound for pound, by the numbers in every way. The USPHL is your pathway to college hockey, and we are working to make it the pathway to college hockey. Dan K Show, USPHL, junior hockey, your careers to the moon. Power Rankings episode is in the books. Follow us, dankshow.com for those highlighter players. Go to www.dankshow.com at @the_Dan K Show. When Dan K's on the mic, it's always hockey night.
You know it's a Power Rankings week when it goes from day to night in the course of filming an episode, by the way.
Yeah, it got dark behind me, didn't it? And Mattingly is soaking wet and was rubbing her hand like all over me. I'm going to have to shower from this. She just literally and this dog was having trouble walking the last couple of days. I come home.
No problems walking now.
All of a sudden she pops up. She's throwing tennis balls around the house and she's like a kid again. And she's rubbing water all over my arms. Now I got to go shower. Thanks for taping.